Question. What kind of bear is best?
That's a ridiculous question.
False. Black bear.
Well, that's debatable. There are basically two schools of thought.
Fact. Bears eat beets.
Oh.
Bears. Beets. Battlestar Galactica.
Bears do not... What is going on? What are you doing?
Last week, I was in a drugstore and I saw these glasses, $4. And it only cost me $7 to recreate the rest of the ensemble, and that's a grand total of $11.
You know what? Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, so I thank you. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Millions of families suffer every year. Michael! Oh, that's funny. Michael!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Agency Hour podcast. And this week we're joined by yet another bear of the Bear family, Brandon Bear himself. And we're going to talk to him about his many roles and all of the jobs that he has, and some financial things and how to spend money and when not to, and other things along those lines. Brandon, introduce yourself, please, for the people.
Hi, I'm Brandon Bear. I am Vice President and Head of Operations out at Meadowbrook Gourds in Carlisle. I am CFO of Molly Pitcher Brewing Company, and I help here a little bit too sometimes. And
sorry, my bad, I messed up the introductions. Emily is also with us.
Hi.
Everybody else kind of just left for the day pretty early, so that's cool. So it's just the three of us. So Brandon, you kind of have, how many jobs would you say that you have?
I mean, I guess three.
Three technically. Right. So like most people it's not average maybe, but just most people have one, right? Do you find it, are there challenges with juggling those three? Kind of, some are different, some are not, kind of the same roles?
I mean, it's a lot to keep track of. So I have three jobs. Those three jobs don't really have clear boundaries or set starting and stopping points. So I have things that I'm responsible for, but I'm involved in a whole lot of things that involve or that happen in those organizations. And yes, it's challenging to keep track of what's going on everywhere all at once.
So it's not necessarily I go to work every day and this is what I do, and I do the same thing. And is every day kind of like a new, like you might not know what you're doing when you wake up in the morning?
So my mornings are all the same. Every morning I go to Meadowbrook and work in production. Mm-hmm. So I actually work finishing the gourds, which is where I get the vast majority of my thinking done.
Interesting. It's kind of like meditation for you almost?
I find it relaxing. I like the people I work with there. It's like everybody's a bunch of fun, and it's something I can do with my hands that doesn't involve my brain. So
right.
I spend that time usually thinking about all the other things.
Because you're usually like working with like the numbers and the money and the books and the taxes and the payrolls.
My afternoons then are dealing with that stuff, and that can be much more fluid in how I spend my afternoons. Sometimes it's at Meadowbrook, sometimes it's at Molly Pitcher, sometimes it's here. So that's more up in the air, but I start my day the same way every day.
That's interesting. How do you handle so you make the financial decisions for like all three companies, right? Almost-ish, kind of?
Not 100%.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of moving parts in both of those businesses. I would say I have a very strong veto on not spending money when...
Right. Your dad calls you the no man.
Well, they call me the no man pretty much everywhere, so...
So why is that? Because you say no to a lot of things? Or a lot of purchases, per se?
Yes. That would be why. Because a lot of the other people that I work with in leadership positions are more of the dreamers and spenders type, and
Right.
I'm more of the conservative.
So what's
Don't
your
spend that money if you don't have to. Kind of deal.
right? So what's your what's the thought process like when someone like Emily or Tim comes to you and says, "Hey, we need to buy this thing. It's $2,000."
Well, that depends on what the thing is.
Right.
So
So if it's vital to the success of the company, obviously yes, buy it. Right. Or
Well,
if it's,
yeah, I guess it also depends on the person who's asking me too.
Right.
Right. So let's take Tim. Tim has the same thoughts on spending money that I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I know if Tim is coming and asking me for money, he needs it, and that's not always the case. So it can depend greatly on who's asking too. And,
Sure.
You know.
So like
But-
a new computer versus like a love sack or a $2,000 beanbag chair. So that
But I mean, thought process on spending money in general is all the same.
Right.
So you are looking for how that makes financial sense for the business. How's it going to make you more money or save you money down the line to spend it, and then thinking about, is it the right time to spend that money? So where's your cash flow at? What other bills do you have going out? What income do you have coming in? Like, yeah, that might be the right purchase. Is it the right time for that purchase? You know, so they're
Right.
two questions, but
okay. What were you gonna say? Were you gonna say something?
Well, I think that's really helpful for people that don't have a Brandon as a business owner.
Right.
I always can rely on, is this a good business decision? Well, let's run it by Brandon. A lot of small business owners don't have a Brandon.
Right.
They don't have a no man. So what tips would you have for someone in determining how to choose something
to
other
just-
than what you did?
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, for example, I am not I'm halfway between a cheap guy and the guy who wants to buy the most expensive thing. Like, I really need an iMac, but I should probably buy an iMac Pro for $10,000 more. You know what I mean? But like, just I don't know the exact number, but say, like, even personally, like, Sparks Entertainment right now has like a couple $1,000s in our bank account, and it's like, it's killing me because it's been there for 6 months, and I'm like, well, we could buy new speakers or a new camera, or we could do this with that or that with it, but it's like, I don't have somebody like you, like Emily said, to like be like, well, let's wait and do this instead, or maybe we should spend it now and then later do this or that. So it's kind of like like what tips would you give to someone, say like me, in that situation where they don't have someone like you?
Well, my first tip is, just because you have money, don't think you should spend it, right? So you should have, and I don't know how you manage the finances for Sparks Entertainment,
Right.
But like for everything I do, I keep a few months worth of expenses in the bank account.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's different for us because we don't really know. We don't technically right now have monthly expenses.
Right.
Like, our expenses are, we pay for it once and then we're good for a year or two, or however long that equipment or whatever it is lasts. There's not technically a bi-weekly payroll, and there's not employees to manage. So I mean, I guess that's where we're a bit different.
As your business grows, you have more overhead. And I think that I sleep better at night knowing that I have a no man and knowing that we keep a few months of expenses,
Well-
because then
So
it's just easier. But I could buy you a love sack, and I could go to this conference, and I could do this, but I think it's better for us to have peace of mind as a business than having all of that stress.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think it was you who said that there's like a very, very high percentage of agencies or people who do the same thing that we do that don't have, like, they're living basically paycheck to paycheck as a business, whereas you probably most likely, and thanks to Brandon, you're like solid for 6 months out. So if, God forbid, we don't meet a goal or no sales come in or something happens, like, everybody still has a job, and then we use that time to make
Hopefully,
up. Well,
yeah.
right. I mean that's the case, or that's the hope. But
That's the yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because there are I read or listen to a lot of podcasts from other agency owners because I think that's interesting and it relates directly to what I do. And it's amazing how many of those podcasts I've heard, at least in 3 different instances, that people in our position or even bigger agencies than us have had often where they're not sure they're going to meet payroll. It all depends on whether one check comes in.
So I will say, in trying to help with this problem, one of the most surprising things I find in dealing with people, I guess, other owners and stuff, is there's a thought separation between the business money and your personal money. And you think, or people think, well, the business is buying that.
right.
And that's completely different for them than you're buying that. But there is no, as a business owner, all that money is your money if
Right.
you don't spend it.
Right.
That's how I think about business, or like the
Yeah.
business.
Well, yeah,
says
because
it's
I
money.
remember talking to you and you'd asked me about something. I'm like, Emily, it's all your money.
Right.
Like this is, it's an extension of what you're doing. It's,
Yeah.
it's all your money.
I think there's just
And-
that. I think there's that tick, and I think that like all 3 of us probably have it, where it's like, yeah, cool, these thousands of dollars in the bank, it's mine, but like we all know, we all have that tick that says, but if you spend it, there's gonna be
But
consequences.
the difference
probably
is,
later
so
down
like
the road.
going back to your which computer do I buy
Right.
thing. I find that people will think about that question differently if they're buying that computer with their own money versus if the business is buying that
For sure.
computer. Because if the business is buying that computer, oh, that's not my money. The business can spend that.
Yeah.
But that's not, at the end of the day, it's still all your.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
your
I
money.
recently did. I mean, I had to buy. I finally, after 5 years, broke down and bought Justin his own computer, just this last week. But I've been telling him for months, like 3 to 6 months, that like, hey, I'm working on it. I'm working on it soon. I'll get it soon. I'll get it soon. Because it was just me constantly going back and forth, like checking prices on different models and years, or
Right.
used, or Amazon, or eBay, or whatever, Facebook, and it was just like a solid 3 to 6 months of me going back and forth, like, okay, I can get this one here. It's a 2016 with this processor for 900, or I can get this one that's 2015 with 300. And just like, it was that constant battle back and forth, because it was like, what's the money that I need to spend? What's my budget? Do I really need to? Can I save $100? Is $100 really worth it in the long run? Et cetera, et cetera. And it was just like, I should have just bought the damn computer. You know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those, like,
Yeah.
like, I don't want to make a mistake so early on and then have like that, that those consequences kind of just like haunt me, I guess, per se. Like, down the road, if I needed that extra $100, like, I shouldn't have bought that computer. I should have got it from the other place. I would have saved that money, and then we would have been okay today. But then it didn't make sense the day before. You know what I mean? Has there ever been a risky purchase that you've made for any of the businesses that you weren't 100% sure if it was going to pay off or not?
I mean, for sure. And the most notable one I'd say is almost anything in advertising. Right?
Sure.
It's
yeah,
hard to
that makes
know
sense.
how advertising is going to pay you back.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes to track how it does or doesn't pay you back. I think that's like the biggest single money sink you face in a business, if you don't figure out what you're doing.
It's very interesting too, because there's like, especially for my industry, it's like all these like big guys who are making 6 figures a year, booking hundreds of weddings a year, blah, blah, blah. Like, their number one thing is have a good website, run your Facebook ads, talk to your clients. And I'm like, okay, well, I have a great website. I talk to the people. I have organization. We have all the reviews. We have this great company, but I've never paid for a Facebook ad. Not one time.
Right.
I know the return on investment, kind of, due to statistics and how cheap they are, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I've never pulled that trigger probably because you're right. Because all these people are running webinars saying, if you run this many Facebook ads, you'll do this much in sales. And I'm like, okay, cool. But what happens when I put $300 in and I don't book a wedding?
Yeah, and you
And
don't know, and you don't know if it's going to give you money back. Then do you have to do it 20 times to see your,
Yeah.
because advertising can be weird like that, in that you have to be in the same place for, what do they say, 13 times? It takes 13 times for people to see things.
Something
before they
around there,
notice it.
yes. It might
So
be as little as 6. But
You're
somewhere
looking at
between 6 to-
potentially a huge investment in a strategy before you even know if it's paying off or not, and that's
Now, you help with advertising on all 3 businesses. Ours to a much lesser extent, but they're all very different in who they're advertising to and the
Right.
types of markets they're going after. So with Meadowbrook, they're a high-end craft home decor item. You have the brewery, which is a dining and drinking experience, so not necessarily a bar or restaurant, but a mixture of both. And then here we're business to business. Those are all very, very different. Is there anything that you can point out that works really well for one or the other and not?
So for Meadowbrook, we've had tremendous success using primarily Facebook as advertising. So when I came in, we were doing a variety of advertising, from newspapers to radio to all kinds of things. And
Isn't it insane how none of those kind of really exist anymore?
They
I mean,
still
they do. They
exist.
do.
And
Just correct, they do,
think they
but it's
can
like-
potentially still work depending on what
Yeah.
you're trying to do. But for what we were trying to do, our audience
wasn't
is too
working.
spread. We're
Right.
only ever going to get a very small percentage of any population to be interested in our product, really, compared to what the mass markets that those are
Right.
appealing to. And it wasn't cost effective by any means, but we had no system in place to track our return on investment for advertising. So then when I came in, I pretty much, between me and Ben, we got rid of all of that other advertising. And
Yeah, I mean, because a company I used to work for, I think he was spending like $100,000 a month on billboards and radio and
Yeah.
newspaper and just every month we would go through, be like, how much did we get back on this, on that, and it was just like, to me, all I saw was the zeros, man.
yeah,
Just they're $30 million a year company, so I mean they had that budget in place, but still it was just like, God, you're spending this much money, none of it was Facebook ads, none of it was Google AdWords. I think we did a little bit of Google AdWords, but like it wasn't. And I told him multiple times, I'm like, dude, if you take this $100,000 you're spending on these stupid radio ads and these billboards that people see everywhere that you can't really track your return on investment on, dump it into Facebook and you'll like triple your profit margins and like it'll be the way it should be. But nobody listened to me because I was a young dumb kid. But
yeah, and I don't know what they were selling. I've found Facebook is really good for events,
right.
and I have not seen enough to make me believe in it for product.
Do you guys has Molly Pitcher, at least, I mean, I guess recently, because I haven't, do you guys advertise on Facebook for Molly P?
We do, not anywhere near the level of advertising that Meadowbrook does.
Right.
For the most part, we're posting things, we're boosting things rarely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
Now I can talk about what I want to see for Molly Pitcher here.
That would be
going
great.
forward.
go for it.
So we just opened our brand new location.
Yes.
Right on High Street. Cool
Beautiful.
restaurant.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy for
Probably the
Oh, wow.
next. Yeah, because second floor isn't open yet.
second floor isn't open.
Third floor isn't open yet.
Right.
So you got 2 more floors to go.
Right.
So it's like 3 months of crazy for each floor.
Yeah. Well,
not-
second floor will be open September 1st.
So soon.
Yeah.
Damn, I gotta-
yeah. We're working on.
I gotta
finishing
get
it
like
up
a
now.
library of trivia questions ready. I'm not ready. All right.
But like, it's different from Meadowbrook in the sense that our target audience is very much more consolidated, right? We're
Sure.
looking for people in this
It's-
area or people visiting this area.
It's kind of a. Would you say like Molly Pitcher's target audience would be more just it's generational, kind of, at least, right? Like Molly Pitcher's target audience would be maybe like millennials, and then Meadowbrook's main target audience is a bit older than that, or
Actually, I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
really?
I would say that the majority of the people at Molly Pitcher or our customers, the people that are in there a lot, are closer to middle-aged,
Okay.
higher income people.
Gotcha.
It's actually very similar in the demographics, like as far as age and income
At Molly Pitt.
that go.
Well,
to
yeah, I
Meadowbrook.
guess. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because like all the Dickinson kids are
And we
most of them
haven't
are going to
we haven't seen what it's going to look like with Dickinson kids yet at the new place. The
Really?
old place was
I guess are they on
was-
break? Probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're on break until the end of August.
Gotcha.
So we don't know what that's going to look
Yeah.
like. We're not necessarily trying to cater to that audience.
So the second
anyway.
floor will be open
So,
just in time for the Dickinson flow to kind of come through.
Yeah.
Right, but I get it. You don't want that college bar atmosphere, which I don't think you are, just because you don't.
Well, we definitely don't want that atmosphere. I'd love to get people from the college, but I don't. And part of that is going to be we don't stay open late. We don't cater
Right.
to the
Right.
drunk late night crowd. I mean, we're going to be happy to serve college kids if they want to come in
Sure,
and get lunch.
for sure.
But we don't want to be the place where they get crazy.
Right.
So, what is this? What is your marketing plan?
Okay.
Sorry.
I want to become a brand that's known all across Carlisle. It amazes me that we still run into people that don't know who we are. 4 years in business, as crazy as our business has become and grown over that time, I want to be everywhere in this area.
How so?
And how
Like,
are
are
you
you-
going to do this?
Are we talking about like another location or just advertising wise? You want to be everywhere?
I mean, advertising wise.
Okay.
Right? Another location is a possibility, but that's way down the road.
Right.
We got to build
Yeah.
a bigger brewery first. 'cause
Right.
Can't make enough beer.
Tim can't
but-
handle it now, let alone. Yeah.
So I could see where having a restaurant, I'm looking more into the billboard and radio and things that hit this area hard. And Facebook will certainly be part of that, but
Now, when you say radio, are we talking traditional or like Pandora? Or both?
both, I would assume.
Sure.
As
Okay.
long as you can target this area.
Right. You can. I think it's
Yeah.
every.
Yeah,
you
I've
just
heard local ads.
Tell them what
when
zip
I've done
code you want
stuff.
to target, and they'll.
But yes, I mean, I think online's, and I would include that in like Google results and stuff too, paying for placement.
Do you have a general guideline that you follow? Not that's just industry standard, but that you follow for how much you should spend in advertising?
As little as possible to make your sales goal.
Yeah.
Right?
This is why he's the nomad.
No, that's.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I think it's hard because like I've had companies that like specialize in social media marketing, and like they'll post on my page and they'll set up ads for me, and they'll make sure all of my accounts have the same address and information so my Google rankings go up, and they'll put me on the front page of Google. Like I had a phone call with a guy about a year ago who worked for one of these companies, and he was like, "Oh, we do this, like literally a dream for advertising any business online." And he was like, "So when it comes down to it, it's only $300 a month or whatever it was, something like around that number." And then like, okay, I did the math. I'm like, okay, $300 a month. That's like $3,600 a year. Do we have it? Yes. Do we want to spend it? Most likely no. And then the number one thing he would say over and over and over to me, he was like, "Yeah, but how much is your average customer spend?" And I said, "Well, like $1,100 to $1,600. And he's like, "Okay, so if we can get you one of those customers every month, your profit margins are, whatever, 50, 75%, whatever it may be. And like he had a great point, but it was just like me needing to like pull that trigger to spend this X amount of money. And that's just kind of like,
So
it's hard. It's very hard for the unknown.
When I'm looking at advertising, I like to play a little bit in it, right? You invest some money within, and that's going the amount of that is going to depend on what you're trying to do and the size of your company. But I'm looking for the things that I can pump money into to get results when I need to, right?
Sure. It's not like you don't want an ongoing month-to-month thing. You want to know that if in September...
I might.
Yeah.
But in general, I'm looking like, okay, here's what makes Facebook great for Meadowbrook.
Right.
I can dump money into Meadowbrook until I fill an event.
Right.
I can tell by the results that I get about how many people I can expect to come, right? Just likes, comments, shares. I've done this for 5 years. And I can compare it to my other events. And if my first ad doesn't resonate with people, if it doesn't take off, if I don't see the same results that I did last year with that, I can be like, okay, well, I need to spend another $500
Right.
to get up to where I am, or
Right.
whatever it is. But I can know, based off of what I can see right there, how many people are going to show up, how successful I'm going to be. Do I need to put more money into making this event more successful?
Right.
It's very easy.
Because then you can compare to like, okay, well, what did we make last year at the
Yes.
event? How much are we spending now?
Right.
Let's find out that. Yeah, and I think that's super cool. It's super easy to justify the cost and the spending and the
So
things.
what I'll be looking for with the brewery then is going to be more things like that. If I run a radio ad for 3 weeks and my place is packed, I know for those 3 weeks or whatever, I know, okay, if I want to pack my place, I need to spend, I can spend this much here, and I can, reliably expect this result. And I'll test those things.
Right.
So I guess at the end of the day, you have to find things that you can measure what you're getting back from it and find out where in the future you can reasonably expect to put money into to get the return you want. That's all that
Yeah.
it is.
And I think there's just that
But you can spend
There's-
$200,000
that's what I'm
looking for the solution,
well, that's all. And I think that's just the small like devil and angel on your shoulder. Like devil's like, yeah, dude, $300 a month, you're gonna make $1,300 a month. That's like $1,000 profit. Do it. Why not? And the angel's like, you could literally dump $3,000 into this and not get one customer. And it's just like that small.
But you have to test it.
Right.
You have to
And I
be
think that's
willing
just-
to lose.
That's something I didn't do yet.
Yeah, you
Something I
have to be
haven't
willing to
experienced.
lose that money, though,
Right.
to test it, because when you find those solutions, they're worth
Right.
so much to your business.
Yep.
You're not going to grow, you're going to grow at a certain pace with word of mouth.
Yeah. Well,
But
and that's all we've
if
done.
you can't find those advertising answers, you're maxed out there.
Yeah.
If you can find those advertising answers, you can blow things up like you wouldn't believe.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to spend the money to test and find those answers.
Right. You got to spend money to make money.
What are your favorite marketing avenues right now?
Oh, my favorite is Facebook right now.
Sure.
Period.
Have-
For dollars spent, I can get my best return on investment from Facebook. And I can see it. I can see it coming. I can see it in the results.
Yep.
I can see it the whole way through. So I don't have to sit there and wonder 6 months out, or like, am I not going to see money for this for 6 months?
Yeah.
Or, no, I can see it all.
Have we done have we done Instagram for Meadowbrook yet?
We're,
I mean, I
we're
guess we-
working on
we
building
co-
Instagram for Meadowbrook.
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's weird because we're married, but Meadowbrook is one of our clients, and they participate in our Anvil Club. So I go out once a month and tell them how they're doing in all of their marketing, because they have their own marketing committee. And one of the things that we're working on right now is growing their Instagram following
Yep.
to reach a younger market, and also just to continue to get into that culture of showing this is our story, these are our
Which-
products, these are sneak peeks of what we're doing, because
Yeah.
it cultivates interest and gets people really excited about what new things are happening. It's much more lively. the challenges that we have right now with Instagram are, I know it has a lot of positive reasons that we're doing it, but we're not seeing, it's much harder than on Facebook to see those returns, because on Instagram, unless you pay for it, there is no way to link have a URL in a post. So you're
Right.
always sending them to a profile, which as extra steps, it has less of
Kills
that just sending
half
them
your
to the
traffic,
website.
right.
So we know that the investment is good, but we haven't made that step yet to spend any money there, because we're still building it and we're
yeah.
still seeing what's working. But
But-
we're learning a lot.
By all means, I mean, I think it's just on the lines of the Meadowbrook Instagram page. The growth is phenomenal. I mean, I think Ashley and you guys only started using it like 6 months ago ish.
I wouldn't
How-
even say that long ago.
Yeah, not even
Yeah.
probably less than half a year ago, and
I
you're-
think we started in April or May.
so I think that just goes to show that if you have a foundation like your 19,000 plus Facebook followers, and you go to something like Instagram and you push, like you're 1,500 followers on Instagram plus 1,500. It's something that I've been trying to do, like personally and for my own business, and businesses struggle a lot to like, we've been Instagramming for 5 years and we only have 400 followers, and like you've broken that threshold in less than a year, and it's
No, just wait. I have plans for
It's
for
fantastic.
Instagram.
yeah.
I mean, my goal is we started at 400. Is that what we started at?
I think it was something something
it was
small.
less than that. It was
Yeah.
300. Yeah.
Which was basically an inactive account
Right.
that had our name on it.
Yeah.
But my goal for the end of the year is 5,000 as minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see those numbers skyrocket here soon. I have some plans for
It's fantastic.
drawing people in.
Yeah.
So.
So I think the biggest thing that you can do with a new platform like that, like how we're experimenting with it, is I always give tips to Ashley in trying new things. Try different hashtags. See the response you get when you use those hashtags, and try different types of posts. So she does. I give her a variety of different things to focus on in subject matter, so then we can go back to the data and see what do people care about and what are they resonating with.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anyone, and I think that's one of the biggest things people get hung up on in social media, is I read this guide, it told me to do exactly these things, and that's what I need to do. But really, I think you just need to listen to your audience. Not everything is going to go perfectly, but offering variety and seeing how they respond
Yeah.
allows you to make those decisions to keep
I
gathering
think-
a following. And you guys do really great at that, because you're not overly selling either. The posts that are out there are interesting.
Right.
They're not just like, here's our product, buy it. You're
Mm-hmm.
telling a bit more of your story, and people like that sneak peek.
And I think that's the number one mistake when it comes to any business and social media. It should be like 90% everything else, 90% everything but your product, and then 10% here's my thing, buy it. I mean, that's what I've been doing with Sparks Entertainment, and it's phenomenal. I only post about our services and like, hey, hire us today once or twice a month. Everything else is, check this out. Look at this. This is cool. Look at this trend.
I don't really post about our products either. We'll post for classes, which I
Yeah.
guess is a product from us. But
It's well,
no,
and
I'm
even
going to this weekend because we have a really cool new product.
yeah,
that
and
I
even
wanna
and even
get
the
out, but-
and most, I think most of the time, even Ashley does post your products, but it's never, hey, check this out. Here's where you can
well,
buy it.
that's not
It's-
the point of it,
Right.
Right.
It's like-
they
it's like,
feed into
here's-
this blog
right.
article, or they feed into this thing that's going
Yeah,
on, or
like,
this
here's-
whatever's happening.
Yeah.
In finishing that day, somebody's working on something.
Right.
She's like, "Oh, that makes a cool picture."
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and I think that's just it fascinates me how lazy some businesses are when it comes to those things. Like we
Well,
literally,
I
it's
wouldn't say
not
it's-
lazy, but
it's
it
lazy. It's not knowing better.
It's-
They're trying, right?
like Emily just had me write up a social media proposal for one of our clients, and like literally in it, whether I don't think she asked me for it or not, but like I gave her a list of like things to try, things to post,
Right.
and it was literally 20 or 30 things. That's just so dead simple. If it's any at all micro, like 1% related to your company at all, if it has anything to do with the products you sell or your vision or your goal or you as a company, post it.
So the problem is, though, which is exactly why we have Emily come out and talk to us every month,
Right.
is that when you're doing your own thing, it's hard to see the parts that other people are going to be interested in. It's hard to do your own marketing when you're doing all that stuff every day.
Sure.
So that's exactly
get it.
why we have her come out to give that
Right.
outsider's opinion and
You
tell
just-
us what we need
yeah.
to be doing.
You guys are gourds
You know.
all the time, but so you think everybody else is gourds.
Well, we do things all the time that I know outside people would think is amazing. This is awesome. Nobody else does this. How did you think of doing it like that? All the time. Like we work in a very specialized field. Everything we do is unique.
Right.
Everything is handmade. Like it's crazy.
Right.
But you never think about it because that's your job every day.
Yeah.
So you go in and you do your job and you go home, and to think about what people outside of your organization is going to think is cool, what are they going to connect? Like that's really hard. That's where you need the outside perspective.
And I think maybe that just comes
tell
down
you
to I think that just comes down to testing as well. Because I think there's even like me personally, like I'll post things for Sparks that are like, check out this cool wedding thing, and it's like not one person gives about it. So it's like, or whatever, fine. I don't care. I'll post something
Yeah.
else tomorrow and I'll get 10 likes on it, or whatever the number might be. It's very interesting. I'm trying something with polls right now on Facebook, where I'll just throw up like two things, like here, vote for your honeymoon spot, or traditional dress versus this like skin tight dress, or wedding shoes, like
Right.
sneakers versus heels, or like tonight I'm posting cha-cha slide versus the Cupid shuffle, or whatever it may be. And like sometimes I'll get like 50 votes. And it'll be great, successful, love it. This is amazing. 50 people, I'm okay with that number.
Yeah.
Other times it's like 10 people voted. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's try again tomorrow.
And I mean, with what you're doing, you're also not spending money on boosting.
Right.
You have no idea how far that post is going to go if you don't boost it,
Right.
compared to your other posts.
It's
So like if people start off not caring about that post, like the first,
I don't even
it's gonna die so quickly.
Like-
But if people start sharing it and commenting it right away, it just like skyrockets.
So
It's crazy.
what we tend to do for Meadowbrook, or what we're doing right now, is a lot of content is story driven, not
Yep.
sale or product focused. But if the post starts doing well on its own, if it immediately gets traction, then we add the boost in there.
But that's how you get the most for your money.
Yeah.
If a post is already resonating, right, every dollar you spend is worth 10 times more than a bad post.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. I'm just me myself personally, I need to like get over that hump of like
I have homework for you, Levi.
okay, go.
I want you to, for
Yes.
the next month,
Okay.
look at your posts.
Yep.
If one is starting to gain traction, I
Yep.
want you to throw $5 at it. You can part with $5.
Yeah.
That's not a huge investment.
So, I think, would that be for like my typical, like, look at this Jurassic Park themed wedding.
Yeah.
Here's all the pictures from it. Check it out. There's no link. There's no call to action. There's nothing linking back to us or the business. Like a post like that, or like we offer DJ, video, photography, hire us today.
Oh, I don't care. I'll do either.
Either one.
do
I
either.
actually just shared that picture of the Scullies
Yeah.
Which are little
from
skeleton
Instagram that
gourds.
went like 3 times further than our normal posts do. I put
Right.
money behind it, sent it out. Like,
Yep.
okay, clearly people love this. I want more people to see what everybody else is loving. Go.
Okay. All right. I'll do it.
But I'll boost, like the serious money goes behind our events and advertising for events
Right.
and stuff. But anytime I see something, like I wait to see if it catches on, and if it catches, I go with it.
Right.
And that helps it might not lead directly to a sale now, but you're gaining followers.
Yeah.
And then from that point, you have their attention. So, and you can, you don't have to spend $500. We've been throwing around numbers. You don't
Yeah.
you don't have to spend $500.
And I mean,
you can spend $5.
To be
and see what
honest,
happens.
I'm not even in like that mind. Like we are right now on track to do an astronomical record-breaking amount of weddings for next year already. We're not even in season yet. People aren't getting engaged in the middle of the summer. It's not our season. And like right now, all I care about is breaking 1,000 likes on Facebook. So I think I'll do it. I'll knock out like, I don't know. What'd you say in a month?
Within this month, I want you to spend $5 on Facebook.
All right.
Just 5. You can spend more. That would
Yeah.
be extra bonus, but
Okay.
at least $5.
I'll do
please.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. And it's fascinating because I know, like, they're all different industries, and like, I know like Meadowbrook and other craft stores, they're probably doing the Facebook advertising and the boosted post and the type of content you guys might be doing. I definitely know other companies like Pixel and Hammer are, but I can't. It fascinates me because I can't find one other wedding professional company, whether they're just DJs or photographers or video guys or photo booths or whatever they might do, that one's, which is a problem, has a decent looking website, or B, is like all they post is, here's our company, this is what we do, hire us, hire us, hire us, hire us, hire us, hire us. Here's a review we got from someone who hired us, hired us, hired us. And it's just like, nobody cares. Like, we know people are hiring you and you're making money, but like, be a professional in your industry. You know what I mean? Be on top of everything that's going on. I don't know one wedding professional in Pennsylvania alone that posted anything about the royal wedding when it happened. The biggest wedding event in like the last 10 years, and nobody posted about it except for me. Like, come on.
Well,
But that's the same thing you're going to find in most industries.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people that are trying to do it
People that
somewhat.
do, people that don't.
And then what you're trying to do is a level beyond what most people hope to do in your industry.
so you have experience in finances and marketing. And I think that the financial aspect is something that a lot of businesses could benefit, and they're starting. What would you say is the biggest mistakes people make when starting their business from a financial standpoint?
The absolute biggest mistake is not having enough capital investment to maintain your expenses until you can grow into being able to afford your business.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, if you start a business and you don't have enough money to pay all your bills without having income for a good 3 to 6 months, you're setting yourself up for failure. How many restaurants and stuff have you seen come into this town that are gone so quick?
So quick.
Right? There's
Right.
one out on a bottom that's gone now. There's been several right up the street here.
Yep. Yep.
By Reds and stuff.
Yep.
That have like every few months there's a new restaurant.
So what is a safe number, a percentage of
You
or
should
months?
shoot for 6 months.
6 months of expenses.
Just 6 months of paying all of your bills, right? Including paying yourself if you have to open it. If you're opening your doors and you have $0 in your bank account, you're pretty much already screwed unless you have like a serious hit there. No, I'm serious.
No,
And
no,
pe-
you're-
so
no,
many people,
I'm
so many
laughing.
people do that.
I'm laughing because it's true.
Like,
Yeah,
you,
no, you're
like,
right.
like you think I can, okay. And as you're making those decisions on what you're putting into your place, you're thinking, I can spend this. I have the money. I'll open my doors. I'll make money. Well,
Right.
yeah, you'll open your doors and you might make a little bit of money. You might have to grow until you can make it. Like, no, you should ideally open with 6 months of being able to pay all your bills and it not even stress you.
So another question that I see a lot, because I browse the internet a lot and and see forums for small business owners, as I am. And one of the biggest stressors that business owners have is making that jump to hiring another employee, especially if they're highly skilled labor, which costs
Right.
Yeah.
completely raises overhead.
Talk about that.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what should be in that business owner's mind in making that decision. Like how do you justify that additional person?
There's a lot of things that go into making that decision. So that's not an easy one to hit up. So number one, your biggest question should be, do I have the sales where I need this person, or can I reasonably expect that I'm going to have the sales in a short period of time? So that's probably the most major one, which basically comes down to, do I really need this person? And so before you hire anybody, you should really need that person.
Right.
So in reality, hiring an employee is not much different than investing in anything else, in buying a piece of equipment. One of the things to think about too when hiring an employee, I think, is the scale of your business. And I don't know that a lot of people think about this, because businesses are going to operate at different levels of efficiency depending on the scale that they're operating at. Right? You have
Right.
one Shannon.
Yep.
How many people can one Shannon control?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
We're talking about scale.
Right.
So
Yep.
you have one Shannon.
Yep.
How many people can one Shannon control?
About 5.
This
So-
is she's at her max.
So
Currently.
getting to that 5, right? Hiring, then you start getting into, well, if I hire that person, I need to hire another project manager. I need more
Right.
office space. Like, so all the other things that go with hiring that person and trying to get into, because your business is going to be highly profitable at certain levels of business and certain scales of business. But as soon as you go over or under that, you can completely blow what you would have made by hiring that extra person. So sometimes when you're hiring a person, you have to think, well, now I need to hire, like, let's say you hired one more person and Shannon, and now you need a new project manager.
Right.
Now I need to hire 4 more people. What's my plan to hire 4 more people
Right.
if I want to get to a maximum level of profitability for what I'm doing? So, like, it's a very complex problem, but a lot of it, I think, comes down to scale and treating it like an investment like you do with everything else. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, because, look what happened. I mean, not necessarily maybe when you hired me, like, okay, cool, like, here's this new developer. What do we need? Oh, eventually we need a new computer, and then he's going to develop these sites really quick, so maybe we need a new designer, and then we have this new designer, we need a project manager to manage him, and they need a new computer, and they need all this stuff, and that's more salaries, and then that's more people to the thing, and it's so much. I don't want to do it anymore, you guys. Can you just, Brandon, just give me $600,000 and you can have Sparks Entertainment, and I'll just go. I'll be a farmer.
I'm
I'll
pretty
grow
sure
corn.
that's not how it works.
You can have all my shares. I own
That-
51%. You
That's
can have
its
it
whole
all.
other podcast in evaluating your business for sale.
Oh, Jesus. All right, fine.
I would say in our situation, at least, this is something that agencies deal with a lot, but project managers tend to also act as the business manager or the office manager.
Right.
So in our case, in hiring another person, if we decided to hire another designer because our great front-end developer Levi does websites so fast, my first step wouldn't be to hire a new project manager. My step would be to hire an admin assistant, which from a cost standpoint is much cheaper than a project manager. I work in a field that has everyone is highly skilled and therefore costs. That's my biggest cost. But a lot of our tasks could be transferred to
Right.
an admin
And-
assistant.
and-
So making those decisions, I think, is helpful.
I get you, but what people might not think about is when they hire that next person, knowing that they have to hire that admin
When you-
assistant then, knowing that they've reached a new
Right.
scale in their business where, okay, yes, I hired this person, and yes, that person might be making me money, but I've also increased my overhead expenditures by 25% because the size of my business has gone up because of this, and now really I need, all these other people to make it get back to the level of profitability that I was at previously.
It's basically
if
just
that makes sense.
It's a domino effect.
So when someone doesn't have a Brandon like I do, that can sit down and I can say, okay, I need to hire a Levi, which I did a year ago. What do I do? If they don't have you, is there a professional that you recommend that they reach out to if they don't feel comfortable making those decisions? Is there someone that helps with that besides a business coach? Or they just need your mind?
They just
Yeah.
Go to Brandon Bear.
I'm very spoiled. I have a Brandon Bear.
Just go to brandonbear.com for all your financial and
I mean, my natural inclination is to say that if you have a CPA, they generally have the logical, think things through type mind that you could run financial decisions like that by. Depending on what what they do. Like some people just have people that just do their books, right? And some people
Right.
are very involved with their CPAs. But that I would think that there would be a natural thinking the right way about it there that you could talk to. But I don't know for sure, and I don't know all
Well,
CPAs.
Piggybacking off of that question, and maybe I worded that a little funny. I think it's interesting, and you do so well at this because you were an accountant for quite a while. You did a lot of taxes for a lot of personal and businesses. You've seen the gamut. Are there any red flags that you think people miss, or that you see in businesses that are failing, or that you see that are doing well? Like, what are those little aspects of the business financials that you see that show either, oh well, this is not looking good, or this could be something? I'm asking all the tough questions today.
Okay, so I think the biggest issue with that is, or the biggest red flag I would say, or problem that people might have, is not reviewing what money they're actually spending often enough to make sure they still need to be spending it. Because so many people get into a habit of doing something, and even if 10 years later that doesn't make sense anymore, they're not stopping to reevaluate it, and so they've wasted money all along the way. So I think keeping on track of where your money is actually going is important, and making sure that everything you decided before, now that you're several years down the road or whatever, they all still make sense, they're all still the best options, is going to be huge in terms of efficiency. As far as red flags in the financials, that's hard to say because there's so different between industries. I don't know that I can really say.
That's fine.
Okay. One more question, then we're going to wrap it up. What is the... I feel like I might know the answer, but maybe you can prove me wrong. What is the last thing that you splurged on? The last big amount of money that you spent, not in business, but your personal life?
Oh, my
Personally.
personal life? Oh,
Yes.
I got myself a new computer.
How much did that cost?
$2,000.
Like what? 32 gigs of RAM, i7 processor.
All of those things. 1080 something card.
1080i graphics card.
Yeah.
All
Got a
right.
lot of nice things. I think 32 gigs of RAM.
Rumor has it you're trying to build a VR room in your house.
That's down the road, but that's coming. I tried VR for the first time.
So I've heard. And we're going to talk about that on the next episode of Blasted Business. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Agency Hour. Brandon Bear, thank you so much for all your
Thank you for having me.
your business advice, your financial advice, your everything that we've shared with the people. What do we have? So we've had Ashley, Ben, Brandon. We need Nathan, and we need Mama Bear on the podcast.
Mama Bear is the brains of the operation.
Mom Bear's going to be the best.
We need her.
She's fun.
She might be quote unquote retired, but she is, in
No,
my
she's-
opinion, the
she's
brains.
Super fun.
She's the
You're gonna
brains.
love
Yeah.
her.
Okay. Do you think she'd do the podcast?
Oh yeah.
She would.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do it. We're gonna get her. We're gonna get Nathan. Are there any other bears we need on to
Those
have?
are all the Meadowbrook Bears.
Get Izzy.
Izzy Bear.
Izzy is the dog.
Oh,
that's
Izzy's
the
the dog. Yeah,
iconic
yeah, yeah.
Instagram dog.
She's
She's the
Instagram
dog.
famous now.
She's
We're making
Instagram
her
famous.
Instagram famous at Meadowbrook.
All right. So we got 2 more bears to go, plus the dog. We can get the dog on here. That's no problem. Thank you so much for listening. Listen, you can go to agencyhour.com. That'll redirect you to our podcast page. You can learn everything about Brandon and his businesses at mbgourds.com, mollypitcher.com. I think Molly Pitcher has a new website coming
It's
soon.
not- yeah, coming soon, not
Yeah,
launched.
absolutely. Coming soon. And pixelandhammer.com as always. My name is Levi. Emily, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.
Brandon, thank you so much for coming out.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Have a good day, everybody.
You ready?